Hi, this is Scott Patchin, and this is video number 1 of 8 videos, a series that I'm creating, what I'm calling the People-Centered Mastery Series. And in it, I hope to cover conversations that people-centered leaders have to master. The first one we're going to talk about today is the one-on-one. And before I get into the form, let me just talk about why I believe this is a critical conversation. First of all, it creates rhythm for you as a leader so that not too much time passes between what I call meaningful conversations with your people. The second reason it's critical is because it really creates time to help you listen. And it's really hard to listen walking down the hallway, walking between meetings, maybe over coffee in the morning when you're just not quite ready for the day. I mean, all those situations are great connection points with your people, but it's really hard to listen as a leader, and this creates time for that. And then the last one is around accountability. And there's a myth that accountability is something a leader does. And the reality is accountability is the result of creating conditions of when accountability can happen. And creating those conditions for a man, I mean, that's your job as a manager. And the one-on-one conversation really goes a long way in making sure those conditions exist and that they're maintained. So let's dive into the form. And the first thing I want to share with you is this form is really not designed to be filled out by you as a manager. You have enough to do. This form is designed to be filled out and brought by the individual, so it can be kind of that permanent record, and it can kind of be the agenda of making it a meaningful conversation. Let me walk through the different sections and just give you a sense of why this session or this section exists and what to do with it. And the first one is kickoff questions. Remember, one of the goals of this is to help you listen. And in order to listen, you have to ask questions as a leader. And these are 4 questions I would encourage to be answered every time because they do 2 things. One is they give you a sense of what the person is feeling. And that's where empathy. It allows you to be a little bit more empathetic as a leader to when people tell you kind of what they're feeling. And those are really the first 3 questions, and those are the highs and lows. And then the last question I would say never change, and that is what do you want to make sure we cover in our time today? And that gets really to the objectives and really sets the tone for, hey, this is your time. What do you want to take away from it? The next section is core job duties. And this is where you cut through the job description, which can often be lengthy, and get to the 4 to 5 things that the leader has to deliver on every week or every month. And they just tell you, is it going well or is it not going well? And for a more advanced way, really look to maybe define metrics or outcomes or deadlines being hit so that it becomes absolutely clear and everyone has a number or a way to measure success in their core job duties. The next section is around quarterly goals, and Stephen Covey helped us with the term called rocks, and rocks are the big things, and leaders have big things, and I always encourage you to manage your leaders in these 90-day windows so that things don't go too far off or don't get too far off track. And these are the bigger things that leaders are doing. Maybe it's an improvement project, maybe it's onboarding a new person, maybe it's filling a key role. Maybe it's implementing a change that you have made as executive leaders, and you're talking to a middle-level manager who's trying to implement change in their team. And then the next section this is one of my favorite sections, and it's because it tells the individual, hey, what do you want to talk about? How can I help you? How can I support you? And you're going to notice that these are the things. There's always something going on, and I kind of give 3 things that an individual could ask for. One is coaching. I might have 1 or 2 different things, and I need you as a leader to help me figure out what the priority is. Direct me basically says, I don't know what I should do. I'm so stuck and lost. What should I do? And that's direct me. And then the not sure is kind of that catch-all. And oftentimes you'll find in here, especially with your experts, it might be just for your information. I made this decision. I want you to know about it. And it gives you two ways. One is to double check that it was a right decision. It also sets you up so we can kind of take that back to your peers and give everyone a heads up. And the third thing is it could, reward and recognition opportunity if someone has done something really good and they want to share it with you. And then the final thing, and this is a super critical section too, and it's kind of a subtle one, and it's where every time as a leader you're mining for feedback. And the subtle thing here is you'll get questions that maybe that the team doesn't know about or doesn't have an answer to that they're wondering about, which is great feedback that executive leadership teams need all the time. You might did something that made their job harder in the last 30 days, and they can tell you that. In some cases, you made a mistake, and you can say, I'm sorry. In some cases, you made a decision that had to be made, and you don't really say you're sorry. You just say, I'm sorry that made your job harder, but you have to understand that I had to do it, and it was a hard one, and then you can kind of debrief on it that way. But I always encourage leaders just to listen in this section and don't do anything. Just take it with you. Don't react. And oftentimes these are things you got to stew on for a little while before you follow up on them. And then the final section is commitment from this one-on-one. What should you do? And remember that trust is built by making a commitment and following through on it on both sides of this conversation. It's really critical to capture those so that you can follow up on it. So let me, I guess, in summary, restate why this form is critical. Is one, it provides rhythm so that not too much time passes between what I call meaningful conversations with your people. Second reason, it helps you listen. And the third one is it creates conditions for accountability, where accountability can happen. And I'll leave you the way I sign every book and leave a lot of my conversations around people-centered leadership, and that's with the people-centered leadership mantra, which is go ahead and remember to listen, to lead, and to repeat often. Have a great day.